Hello and welcome to RadioNIGP. As government employees, public procurement professionals find themselves often caught up in the daily whirlwind of activities that they can't always control. Most of us would prefer that politics not enter into procurement decisions. But the politics surrounding our activities can affect how successful we are in our mission to find the best solutions at the best value for our customers and the citizens that provide our funding. Politics is not just about the activities or preferences of elected officials, but may carry over to others in your organization that can exert their influence on your work. Minimally, we need to be organizationally aware of our surroundings while navigating our course towards successful contracting. This episode seeks to help you in your journey toward political awareness. So grab your drink of choice, sit back, and enjoy this episode of Radio NIGP.
Hello, everybody. My name is Ted Phillips, and I'm here today with Cheryl Buccalo, representing the Maricopa County Department of Public Health, this year's recipient of the 2025 NIGP Agency Advancement Award for their implementation of the Public Health Purchasing Portal. Welcome, Cheryl.
Hi, Ted. How are you?
I'm doing great. And yourself?
I'm doing wonderful. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Not a problem. I'm glad to have you here. That's perfect. So, as we get started, can you tell the audience about the purchase portal and how it feels to be the 2025 NIGP's Agency Advancement Award recipient?
Sure, I'd be happy to. Well, the purchase portal is an online system created using Highland's on-base software system. And we wanted to create a centralized digital workflow for all of our day-to-day purchases. And we wanted to make sure that it would increase efficiency, accuracy, and accountability while improving the user experience for everyone involved. And as far as what it feels like, incredibly rewarding, in all honesty. It's not just recognition for me or my team, it's for our whole department and our partners who believe we could do something completely different to meet a critical need. And it's proof that innovation in procurement really does make a difference in public service. So, this project came together because so many people believed in doing things differently, and it's exciting to see that work recognized on a national level.
Very, very good. So tell me, what was the biggest challenge your team faced in developing and launching the purchase portal, and how did you overcome it?
A great question. I would say the biggest challenge was balancing our speed with precision. We were building this during a time of overwhelming demand after already being delayed during COVID. And the temptation was for us to rush to get it done. But we were sure we did not want to sacrifice accuracy or compliance. So we overcame that by just having constant communication between our team, the public health end users, and our development partner, just making sure that we made quick but informed decisions every single step of the way.
Very good, very good. So how has the portal changed the day-to-day experience for your staff across the department, from the requesters to procurement to the finance teams?
In all honesty, it's really been a game changer as it's just streamlined everything. The requesters have one place to submit and track their purchases now. Procurement has one place to go and put their orders in and submit all of their backup documentation that's required. Program managers and leadership have one place to go, and they can have one full real-time visibility now into the entire process. They can pull reports. Finance has access to those reports as well. It's faster, clear, and it just reduces all the back and forth that used to slow everything down.
Very good. So for other public agencies facing a similar procurement challenge, what advice would you offer to them in considering a centralized or digital solution?
I would probably have to say just start out by understanding the process from the user's perspective. The requester, the approver, the processor, whoever's going to be involved in that purchase, whoever's going to have their hand in that. Build something that solves those pain points first, and then layer in the compliance and the reporting needs after that. And also don't underestimate the importance of training and communication. without those, it's not going anywhere. So the best system in the world just will not succeed if people don't know how to use it or understand it properly. So
That makes sense. Perfect. Well, I want to thank you again for joining us. Again, Cheryl Buckalow from the Maricopa County Department of Public Health as the representative of the 2025 NIGPC Agency Advancement Award. Thank you very much.
thank you very much, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.
And you too. All right then.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hello, friends. This is former RadioNIGP member David Nash coming to you with a grim tale about our outgoing executive director, Rick Grimm. Rick, it is hard to believe that your tenure with NIGP is coming to a close. I remember our first meeting back in 1996 when you applied for the senior procurement specialist position at my agency, the city of Fort Lauderdale. I think we received over 150 applications, and you made the short list, to use a procurement term. HR gave you one of those inbox assignments to solve and an hour to complete it. Then you had to present it to a committee of city personnel. I was one of the participants on that committee, and so it was my first exposure to you. You blew away the competition and came out number one. However, you turned down the job offer, and we went with option number two, the very capable Kirk Buffington, who went on to become NIGP president as well. I have sometimes wondered how it would have been to work for you if you had accepted the position. My integration into NIGP came slowly. My first forum was in 1997 in Fort Lauderdale, and I did not attend another one until 2004 in Biloxi. By then, you were the executive director of NIGP. Things were happening, and that sort of became my feeling about your presence at the helm. Good things were always happening. I believe you have really moved this organization forward in a very positive way. It is amazing to see the changes that have occurred over the years. I have always appreciated your devotion to FAPO and look forward to your attendance at our annual conferences throughout the state of Florida. In some of our discussions, we discovered that we both attended the University of Miami at the same time in the mid-70s. I think there was a one-year overlap, although we never met. We have both enjoyed Miami's football season's ups and downs. Your State of NIGP presentations on the last day of our FAPO conferences were always very informative and made us feel connected. I will be forever grateful for your support of my question of the day since its inception in 2007. Periodic discussions about the numbers of participants and what you perceive to be going on nationally in the procurement field were invaluable to me in understanding how and why folks would choose to participate and what I might do to improve things. I am also appreciative of the many times we broke bread over dinner while I was teaching a course in Washington. Not only was the food great, but also the conversation. Your insights related to the LGBTQ issues occurring in religious communities across the country were of great value to me as my own United Methodist community struggles with the issue to this day. Creating an LGBTQ community within NIGP for like-minded people to support one another is a legacy that you can be proud of as well. In short, Mr. Grimm, it has been an absolute pleasure to have known you over the years. Thank you for all that you have accomplished for the Institute. I wish you all the best in your retirement, and I hope that it fulfills you in ways that bring you joy and keep you energized. As we have often said goodbye in the past with the words of our alma mater, go Canes.
Hi, my name is Diana Landeros. I am been a procurement officer for the town of Queen Creek for a little bit about 7 months. So I am newer to the team, but I've been in procurement for about 12 years. And this is my first forum, and I'm really excited that I got to attend this year. My first impression was the amount of people that come together. I love that there's from everywhere, and since this is my first forum, I was just used to knowing people and networking with people from Arizona. So it's just amazing the amount of people that are here from different places. So far, I joined the negotiation pathways. really want to boost my skills in negotiation. And some of the things that were discussed today were pretty impactful that I'm definitely going to take back to the team and talk about and see how we can better, strengthen our skills for negotiation. I've really enjoyed the social event, 80s theme night, and we got to ride on the shuttles. Coming back was fun too. It was something I'll never forget. Just the crowd that we were with, the people that we got to meet, all the people that were alone, we kind of just come with us and we'll do this together. So I really enjoyed that social event. Definitely. It's simple as just getting networking with towns that are already in Arizona. We got really close to the city of Marana, just conversating and how do you guys do things, and this is how we, present to council, and I'm going to provide spreadsheets to them, and just that connecting. My advice to first-timers would be definitely to don't be discouraged to go alone. Have the courage to say that you want to go somewhere alone, or you want to take that class, or you want to do this event because it is your first time and you want to enjoy it. You want to see everything that NIGP has to offer. So I definitely would advise that if you haven't attended, apply for scholarships, push for your agencies to contribute or the local chapters, and just try to get a scholarship so you can attend. It's definitely inspired me to seek volunteer opportunities. I'm definitely involved in our local chapter, and I didn't know what it was or what entailed or to what extent or how to even apply, but attending the conference really kind of pushed me to, okay, go find out, where's the application, because I definitely want to get involved for next year. I am so motivated, I'm so pumped. I feel like the theme of this forum was that we're not alone. And sometimes in our positions, we definitely feel like defeated, feeling alone, and like, why am I doing this? And I felt so much reassurance coming and attending, and I'm definitely going to keep going and try to get my certifications and work on those and get my hours and do the study guides and join all the study groups that I can, so that I can definitely push to get certified.
Hi, everybody. This is Don Buffum. I'm with RadioNIGP, and this is Hot Topics with my friends Tara and Charlie. And today we're going to talk about something that kind of hits us all every day. If you ever had that situation where a department came to you and said, "We need this. We know this is what we need, so you've got to get it for us." Well, my first reaction normally is no. But I can't do that because that's against the rules, type thing. But I have found that I have to start thinking about it from their perspective. That person has a job, they run a department, they're trying to do the best they can with their budget. And if they think they see something that they think is just fantastic, best things since sliced bread, they're going to want it. And so we have to look at that and say, okay, well, what can we do to help? But that can happen in so many different ways. And you also have to understand there's other people involved that you may not know about. For example, what if it's their boss that wants it? What if it's the president? Excuse me, I was at a university. What if it's the president of the university that wants it, but it seems like it's coming from the department? We have to be aware of that, because whether you call it politics, differing opinions, differing needs, perspective, whatever you call it, it's part of our daily life. And we have to figure out how to deal with that. Charlie, what have you run into where you have to have that situation, and how have you solved it?
Yeah, Don and Terry, that's very tricky. Like you said, Don, did it come from the president of the university? Was the request coming from the CEO, or from the CFO, or any type of division chief or anything like that? It is tough because they may have done a lot of research already on this, they have, so if a request ever came to me, so I'm putting on my, you know, my procurement hat, per se. I always tell them, I am here to help you, but I want you to help me help you, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So give me all the guts and glory, right? Tell me what you need and why you need it. What type of research have you done? Because then when I have to take it up you know, the chain of command, they're going to ask me the same questions. Why? How will this benefit our agency? How will this benefit the citizens of our community? Are we looking at other options? Are there other vendors that have something similar? And I'm not going to call it any specific type of example because I'm not going to do that on this recording. But it's just, I always say, help me help you so I could take what you want. What due diligence have you had? And I will take that to my superiors. And then if we're all on the same page, we'll keep things going. But it's a very touchy subject and it's hard. But the thing too, I'll end with this is, and I know Tara has a few things to say, but we want to get to that win-win. What works for that for that specific division, but also what is the win for not just that division, but overall our agency, overall with the best value to our taxpayers and things like that. So you want to question, and question. We could be pain in the butt, but that's okay. We are allowed to question the heck out of it because we are tax funded. So that's my thought. I don't know, Tara, what do you think?
Well, I think part of the question, if the questions are coming from a point of curiosity and understanding, I think we seem less like we're being a pain to whoever the request is coming from. And if we approach our conversation with them about like helping inform them on why are we asking these questions, and ultimately we're trying to navigate the gray for you. So I'm here because I'm a subject matter expert in whatever the procurement rules are that apply to the thing that you're wanting to buy. And so when I'm asking you questions, I'm not challenging you. I'm not saying you didn't do a good enough job. I'm trying to build on what you've already done to get to, like you said, the win-win outcome. And if there are holes in what you've done, I'm trying to find out, is there something that I can do to fill the gap and cover that hole? Or do I need to course correct you and say, look, I need to understand what it is that you're trying to accomplish. And my hope is I can get you there. And we may get you there by buying the unicorn that you want and that you've identified because you went to this, trade show. Or I might get you there by saying, you don't need a unicorn. This horse will actually do, and it will save us money. I know I'm using a weird example, but there's these things that we want to navigate, and we are making sure that we're sort of aware of what our market is. And we're doing research to say, is the thing that you want truly legitimate? Is the only thing that will meet your need? And if it is, let me find you a way to get there. If it's not, let's have a conversation about what do you really want? What do you really need? And I think, Don, your point about like the person who calls you and feels like they're just being like they're demanding it, they've done all the work, and procurement, just give me your rubber stamp of approval. I really like the idea of reframing it, that they're not the pain, they're not the person that's making things difficult. A lot of times in procurement, we have to remove our ego from the situation. We have to be aware of the full environment and be like, okay, well, I know that Don's calling me and he's probably going to really challenge me on something, but let me get in the right headspace to actually open my procurement toolbox and say there's 50 different ways to get here. In preparation for this, you use the example of a GPS. If I want to drive to Cleveland and see Charlie, I'll just put in an address in my GPS and it's going to give me 50 different routes. And it's going to say, this one is more scenic. This one is more eco-friendly. This one avoids toll booths. And all of them are acceptable ways to get to Charlie. My job as the procurement person is to say, there's 4 acceptable ways to get there. Let's find the best one based on what matters to you. So I don't know, before we wrap up, if any of you guys have other thoughts to add?
Yeah, I do. Because you said something earlier and it just made me think. And that's sometimes my head hurts when I think. But we potentially know more about also the legislative body in regards to policies, procedures. Here in Ohio, the Ohio Revised Code, we might have our own set of bylaws that said engineer may not know, or said person in marketing, or if you're on a golf course, you want to buy a new golf cart and that's all fancied up. There's certain rules and regulations that those folks may not know about, and not saying that we know them all either. But if we all work together as a team to get to that win-win and have those conversations, I think it's really, really important. And I think we talk a lot about this in Hot Topics. It's just having that communication, that open line of communication, so that we are helping our said departments, our said stakeholders, the best we can to get to what they need.
Yeah, totally agree.
Yeah, I don't know if I can add anything else to it except for being aware of the powers that are at play in your organization. Like, procurement is a people profession. It is not back office function, issue the purchase order, sign the contract. It's really understanding the dynamics that are at play and then finding the way to position your team, whether you're the procurement person, the procurement director, and the department you're buying for, in the best light so that they can achieve what they need to achieve. Like, their mission is their mission. We're helping them get there. And you will not be successful if you're not aware of the relationships that are at play. And sometimes it's as simple as like knowing who to call to ask the question. When you become that person to your departments, they rely on you for things that are not procurement at all. It's like, I know it's not you, but you're going to know who I need to talk to. So, Don, do you want to wrap us up? You have anything else to add?
I just communication, cooperation, awareness, all those things you guys are talking about. It's what we all have to do. And the hardest part sometimes is stepping back and taking the time to do that, to be aware, to communicate. Because when you're hit with all these different bombshells from all these different angles, it's hard to step back and say, hold it, I'm going to take time to do this. But if we'll do that, and I guess that'd be my best advice to people, is take the time to figure out what's going on before you react. So with that said, Charlie, Tara, thank you for being on this session with me, and hope to see you all again sometime soon. This is Don Buffum with Radio NIGP. Have a nice day.
Peace.
Hello, Radio NIGP fans, and welcome to this month's Construction Junction. As we ponder on the topic of this month regarding local politics or just in general the political environment, when you're thinking about construction procurement, many times our construction actual projects extend through multiple jurisdictions. This can add time and extra permitting and zoning and all kinds of other things that can complicate your procurement. So it's important as a construction procurement professional that you build a good solid relationships with your end users so that together you guys can work earlier in the process and understand the timelines needed to be able to complete your project successfully. Knowing those special nuances, because maybe you're a county and you're going to be building something in one of the towns within your county, but they don't really like each other. All those things can throw wrenches into your procurement process, slow down the process before you even get to the procurement, and possibly even slow down construction once it begins. So speaking with your end users, understanding the environments of the localities you're going to be working in is very important as you're building a procurement schedule for construction. I hope I've been able to give you a helpful tip or two, and I look forward to seeing you again next month.
Hello, Radio NIGP, and this is your AI Minute. I'm going to talk to you about a release note that just happened today, which was going to be in a few days for you, but since this is going to be published shortly. But if you go to your settings button on the bottom left-hand corner of your AI model. This is for ChatGPT specifically. If you're using a different model, feel free to go to your control settings and find the release notes for your model that you're using. There should be release notes for every module, whether it's Gemini, Perplexity, Claude, any one of those. They will have a release note page for you. For ChatGPT specifically, there is a help button or help toggle, and then a pop-up button. and the release notes are here. Once you click on that, it's going to pop up this article. So everything that's being pushed out to users or being updated throughout the AI system that you're using is going to be published in a specific place. This is ChatGPT's. Today, which is September 3rd, which you'll be watching this later on. But this is the most up-to-date thing that's just happened, and I'm super excited to share with you, is that project folders are now available to our free tier users. I've talked about project folders in previous forum discussions and previous like VCon. I'm super impressed with them. They're a huge time saver and a lot of great information that you can do with these project folders. So I'm going to show you what that looks like. For project folders, you can bring your chats into one place, help you stay focused and get things done. You can upload up to 5 files for the free users. For the Plus, Go, and Ed users, you get 25 files. And then for our Pro, Business, and Enterprise, you get 40 files. This was recently updated. I could upload 20 files previously, so it looks like I've got a few more files available. And as the model keeps on growing and getting better, I'm sure the more files you'll be able to access later on. You can learn more about project folders here. It will take you to some videos showing you, and you can customize this information. I'm going to show you right now what this looks like. So new project folder. So you come to the left-hand side of your screen. You can hit new project folder available right there. And then you can hit this new project folder button, and you can literally click in and type a project name. So RFP for XYZ. XYZ. And you can create this project folder specifically for what you're trying to accomplish. Say it's an RFP for a construction project, or say if it's RFP for a mural to be painted, excuse me. You can then go here and add project information to your file. So your city code or your agency code, your state code, any guidelines that you need to follow that are important to you, specific for your agency. Excuse me. And then the research that you've done. So if you've done research on a mural, you can pull those RFPs that have already been published by other agencies, whether they're from Florida or California or Hawaii, and upload them here. You then start toggling, asking questions specifically, and it's going to pull from the project files that you've put in there first from its memory bank, and then it's going to go broader to the World Wide Web. You can also click here and you can add in additional information into your prompt. You can change it to the mode. If you have a Pro or a Plus version, you have agent modes. You can do deep research, create images, add more information. If you're studying for the CPP test, you can actually put information about what you're trying to study in here, and then do study and learn and go from there. What that looks like for you is when you are doing something. I've got my procurement folder right here. So I've literally uploaded my city code here. This is my city code, the state code, the state procurement code, and then our matrix for information. And now I have a quick guide that basically I can prompt it and say, hey, this is what we're trying to do. Is it legal? This is what I'm trying to do. What do I need to do to, what requirements do I need to follow up with? And you can build information off of those modules, and then it's going to give you really good fine-tuned results specific to what you're asking for. It's one of the project folders that I do love. I've created one for my election folder. I've created one for my special events. I'm trying to recreate and update our code. So I'm doing a bunch of research in there. But this is a great tool to have that is going to be available for you as you are moving forward in your AI education and learning more. So thank you for joining me for this AI Minute. We will see you on the flip side. Thanks for listening.
Hello and welcome to Radio NIGP, Deeper Dive, Making a Splash. My name is Bobby Tolston, and I'm joined here today by Monique. Hello, Monique, and welcome to Radio NIGP. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm wonderful. So before I forget, I would like to thank my colleague, Valerie Scott, for the virtual introduction to join us here for this interview. So thank you, Valerie. So Monique, before we dive into our topic for today, can you tell our audience a little bit about yourself?
Of course. My name is Monique Dressler. I work with the city of Longmont here in Longmont, Colorado. I am in the contracts and purchasing department, and I'm the administrative analysis, and I've been here for the past 3 years.
Oh, wow, 3 years. Look at you. Seems like you must like what you're doing, huh?
I really do, yes.
That's good. Public procurement is one of those fields that once you gravitate to it, it's hard to pull yourself away from it. Do you agree?
I agree 100%.
All right, thank you, Monique. So why don't we go ahead and dive into our topic? Our topic today is forum takeaways and political climates. So Monique, tell us a little bit about your experience with forum. What was one of your takeaways?
I think the most valuable takeaway that I have was the networking, especially since there were so many people over at the NIGM or NIGP forum. There were just a lot of people that you could talk to, different states, counties, countries. It was awesome. I had a great time at forum.
Oh, thank you. So why did networking matter to you?
Networking matters just because every project is different. It has different codes, terms, policies, and procedures that vary from state to state, county to county, city to city.
Yes, that is so true. So, based upon your forum experience, how will it help you in your current role and with your responsibilities in your position?
It definitely helps in my current role. And because I'm one, like I said in prior, I'm really new. I'm still semi-new to procurement, and there's a lot of stuff I did not know that actually exists in the procurement world.
Yeah.
And it definitely helps me when I handle contracts that the procurement specialist gives me, understanding why we did it this way and why we did it that way. That's what really helped me with the forum, is understanding my job a little bit more than what I didn't know before.
Absolutely. And that's one of the benefits for sure in attending forum is all of the opportunities that you have to learn and the networking. So shifting gears a little bit, when you think about the political climate at your workplace, can you tell us about any challenges that you may be having?
For me, I haven't experienced any like political work challenges, just because, like I said, prior that I'm still learning the ins and outs. But I have seen challenges that our procurement specialists have dealt with, like tariff costs, and having documentation of why we are getting charged a certain tariff fee. But that is pretty much the only political challenges I've seen recently. But yeah, it's just the tariffs.
Yes, and thank you for bringing up tariffs because it does drive up the cost of goods, right? And you are a public servant, and as such, we are responsible for responding to the taxpayers. So having that documentation to support those increases definitely something good to have, and it could definitely turn into a challenge if it's not addressed appropriately and with intent, right?
Yeah.
So, thinking about your goals for the reason that you attended the forum, do you feel that you met those goals?
Yes, most definitely, especially in the P card session that we had on the first day, managing the P card role. That was a very good class for me to take, especially since my goal is to manage the P card program with the city of Longmont. It's definitely one of my goals, but I also like the networking because my goal also is to become a procurement specialist to get certified in all my different areas I would like to get into. But yeah, the forum, it was a great experience, especially for my first time. I met amazing people, very knowledgeable. Like I would say that was like the book of knowledge I walked into because everyone knew everything. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is where I need it. Can I have your number?
Oh, wow, that is so amazing. And that was your first conference. And I can tell you that was probably my 20 plus conference, but they all feel new. I always meet new people. As you stated, the networking, the learning opportunities is always a great time. Did you have an opportunity to attend the forum event at the aquarium? Did you enjoy that?
I did. I totally enjoyed that. I was very surprised they had tigers there. And the tiger, I swear, I'm a cat lover. So we were making that cat bond with each other. Like, yeah, I'm over here. Come let me pet you. But no, it was such a great time.
All right. So, Monique, before I let you go, is there anything else that you'd like to share with our audience regarding your forum experience?
Yeah, I just wanted to just say thank you to everyone that who I spoke to, who helped me grow more of a path in my career. I truly it was awesome to meet a lot of new faces and new people. Um, it was just a great time, and I'm looking forward to the next one. So I'm super excited.
All right. Thank you so much for joining me today. And I hope that you will come back again on Deeper Dive for a different topic. But in the meantime, enjoy the rest of your day and thank our audience for listening. And I hope that you come back here again real soon. Take care.
Thank you.
Hello, friends. I hope your new fiscal year's off to a great start, that your back to school season was a smooth transition, and that you're moving through the final months of 2025 with enthusiasm and determination. We hope that you've enjoyed this month's broadcast of Radio NIGP. As we contemplate the messages of power, politics, and procurement, I pause and do a little self-reflection. Am I doing everything that I can to positively influence the environment that I'm in? Am I demonstrating professionalism and respect to everyone I come in contact with, regardless of their position? When I think about the leaders that I respect and admire, am I demonstrating those same skills and traits myself? Would those around me describe me as someone they see adding value to the procurement process with relevant knowledge and a heart to serve? Let me just say there's always room for continuous improvement and growth. As I was thinking about how I might close today's broadcast, a timeless classic from 1936, written by Dale Carnegie, came to mind. So if you will indulge me, let's close out considering just a few ways we might win friends and influence people. Because after all, isn't that what we're trying to do here? Influence others and make an impact? So let's start. Do not criticize, condemn, or complain. Be generous with the praise. Remember their name. Be genuinely interested in other people. Know the value of charm, bless their hearts, and only in the best way. Being quick to acknowledge your own mistakes. And don't attempt to always win the argument. Begin on common ground. Have others believe your conclusion is their own. And make people feel important. I don't know about you, but I might need to do a little homework and sharpen some of my skills to walk this out. Remembering names is a struggle sometimes, bless it. But until next time, friends, keep growing, keep improving, and keep becoming the best procurement professional you can be.
And so we're going to start out with Jack giving us a quick reminder, paraphrasing what it was that he was originally looking for and suggesting, because that's helpful. Although we had a great discussion.
Yeah, I mean, it was really that I think in today's, and it wasn't meant to get political in any sense of the word, because as each of us procurement professionals in our teams um, deal with, there's uniquenesses in each of our agencies with the politics, but there's a fundamental of having to do, and it can get pretty thick and pretty intense, and that politics now has been, like never before, imposed upon our internal customers. Okay. And so what I had hoped to get into is a discussion about, one, recognizing no matter where you are, there's politics. So don't let it make you so anxious, or to give our youngest practitioners and all practitioners a reminder that politics is part of our life. It's part of what we have to deal with. And a lot of the politics is internal. Most of it's internal rather than national or local or any of that. It's dealing with our customers. I mean, I used to have internal customers. They were fighting with each other. One's trying to up, and so and so that was the intent of this discussion, rather than getting into, the national or even the local politics of the organization. But it was more to have that, can we agree on a set of, these are best practices from all of our experiences?
That being said,
Barb, how was that? Was
that was perfect. So
Okay.
That being said, I know we had decided to dedicate after hours to that introduction and discussion. So you had invited some people to join you in the general discussion. And did you get any takers?
I don't recall, or I didn't recognize if I had any takers. I didn't recognize if I had any takers, but Barb, let me ask, does anybody have any thoughts about that? Was that, John, I know you had commented a couple times, and I think who else? I think it was Stacy. I think you might have said something.
Linda raised her hand.
So I definitely can be in a general conversation.
Awesome.
Jack, I think one of the things as well is that when you say politics, people automatically think, politicians, government. But your comment about the internal politics in an organization is critical, because there are a lot of players behind the scenes, or maybe not so behind the scenes, who have the ear of decision makers. And if procurement staff aren't aware of who the players on the field are, they're going to get smacked at some point, because something comes up that is internal entity politics, and they're not aware of it. So it comes back to bite them, or they get entwined in some, power struggle that they didn't even know existed, let alone were prepared to fight.
Linda, it's perfect. Your comment's perfect, because it's the business acumen of your organization. Because the politics is not just the people that are doing the headlines, but it's the department heads. And when you have you have somebody that comes aboard, he's the new director, he or she's the new director or the new area manager, and they're gonna change the world. Okay, guess what? The way you're gonna operate may be differently, and you need to be aware of that, because it's going to affect you in the procurement role.
Thank you. Let's get some input from Don or Bobby. I don't know who put their hand up first. Don.
I'll go ahead. Jack, is politics really just dealing with competing goals and how we do that?
I think it's deeper than that, Don. It's it's more than prioritization, but it's knowing it. It's kind of what's the word in it? And I know everybody cringed a little bit when I use the word politics. Okay. But I think we need to be brave enough to say what it is. Okay. And when it's influence, it's people that are going to politic us to get their way. They're going to influence us. And it's really knowing our environment. So I mean, sometimes, procurement, we've all been there. Sometimes we have to be the buffer or the strong no. And then when we say the strong no, we get to a place that's more reasonable. But if we weren't able to kind of buffer that because we weren't aware that, of that internal politics, sometimes we can get steamrolled. Does that make sense, guys? So it's kind of a little bit deeper than just prioritization of getting our work done. It's knowing the players, I guess.
So two things. Bobby, I'm going to go to you next, but I wanted to welcome our newest member wholeheartedly. Rebecca Key, we love you, and we are so happy you're joining us.
Oh, thank you. Sorry I was late.
And, and when you work from home, we want to see a picture of your cat also.
Okay, no problem.
Okay. I love that cat. Bobby, thank you.
Yes. So, Jack, I hear you, and I am hearing all of the comments. I've read the comments, and we have a very broad audience that listens to Radio NIGP. And when we're going to have this discussion, just the word politics, whether we like it or not, it's going to cause people to cringe. We just have to be honest about that, right? So what are we trying to do? Are we trying to give people heads up? Are we giving them suggestions? Are we giving them perspectives from our experience? What are we trying to do? That's what I'm still not clear about.
I think it's good question. A good comment, Bobby. I'm thinking I want to not our colleagues not be afraid of the word politics. Okay. To give them some confidence about it's gonna happen. Okay. And it's happening. And it's going to it might get more intense. So everything you said is what I want to do. I want to give them some lessons learned from each of whoever this group, and so like a couple, 3 takeaways that it's okay. So they feel like they're not alone, because their life may change it did for me before I left.
Okay. So I was going to do a segment, and I have an interview scheduled with the young lady that attended Forum. So what I wanted to do was tie her experience with Forum, applying Forum learning to your political climate, right? Because as Stacy said, if we're not educating our staff, how are they learning what they need to learn, right? And as educators, I want us to come across in a way that we're educating and not provocating, right? Because I don't want people to walk away saying, well, Bobby said, right? We don't want that, right? Because I don't want to be on someone's radar for giving advice to a climate that may not be receptive of that, right? So if we're sending people to training, what do we want them to walk away with? So I wanted to tie those two things together in my segment is what I was thinking about.
I think it's consistent. What you're saying is consistent, because I want people to know, and maybe that's how we open it up, is look, politics is unique in it's almost like situational. It's situational awareness. Back to what Don was saying is, we all come to work in the morning, or we all go to work in the morning in a different way. I'm going to work in a different way now. And everything changes, depends on the situation.
Okay, I just copied into my notes John's comment. I think it's in harmony with you, Bobby. And so John is suggesting the title Lessons Learned about Dealing with Politics. And that's a nice take on it. Bobby, what would you like me to record as the title of your segment? What feels right?
I'm tossing around applying form learning to political climate.
Perfect. Okay. And you can do it in two parts because we're also looking at October.
Yes, I wanted to interview the person that I already had scheduled, but I want to pick up a couple of more people for another segment to have a broader conversation.
Excellent. Valerie, thank you and Tara for your patience. Your comment?
Yeah, I just, first of all, I appreciate taking this direction of like education versus some sort of a rant or vent session about things. And I think it's really important, especially for newer upcoming professionals, because I know when I got promoted to manager, there were some things I just had no idea were like, I'm like, I know procurement, I know our code, I'm going to do everything correctly. And then suddenly some director somewhere, questions everything. So I think it's a really good opportunity to prepare people for when that happens so they don't feel like they've been whiplashed. Some things I was thinking about was kind of going back, I think earlier Jack was talking about it's not just necessarily like the politics of the leaders or what they're trying to get in the organization. One of the lessons I learned is you never know what the relationships are within your organization, who is connected to who is married to who but didn't change their last name, who is a sibling to someone else, and being very careful about how we conduct ourselves as professionals within our organization and not engaging in bad talking people or anything like that. I didn't do it, thank goodness, but I learned later, like, oh, that person's married to this person who I could have said something bad about. It's a good thing I didn't. So I think it's
So
also
maybe it's not politics, but it's situational awareness of
yes,
our jobs. Maybe in that might we talk about the politics. Once we get into it, you can talk about there's all kinds of politics. There's politics in our household, between my children and all that. But it's situational awareness. That's excellent. Thank you, Valerie.
I'm sorry, there is only one way to load the dishwasher. Keith.
Politics does have many different forms, big P, little p. Your daily activities, everything you do in your life is somehow politically related. So I thought about this a little bit and said, you know what, we're talking about what we can do ourselves to educate ourselves. And I thought back, I know of a law firm, a very well-known law firm here in the Fort Lauderdale area. Wish Kirk was here because he'd certainly know who they are. And so that law firm actually teaches classes to elected officials on how to deal with mainly ethics, which is such a broad topic that politics becomes subservient to that in essence. And so I've arranged to have an interview with her about how do you teach your elected officials about ethics, and in turn, the spillover from that will be how they deal with public procurement, because ethics is our biggest concern when it comes to the electeds, other than making sure we've done our jobs correctly, obviously. But I think that if individual entities are able to figure out a program where they can have initiation for their electeds, then maybe they'll resolve some of the problems before they ever start. A lot of elected officials, believe it or not, are very conscientious and want to do the right thing. There are some that may not.
Keith, as you were saying that, I'm thinking have you ever met an elected official that didn't think they were ethical, even though they weren't? Unfortunately,
yeah.
they all think that they're ethical until they but I'm thinking for the practitioner, I like, if you could get a couple nuggets that someone that's brand new I was thinking about, rather than say, oh, my boss will deal with that, or I'm frozen in my job because I got some program manager, I forget who said it, maybe Valerie or somebody, coming in and they're going to impose this politics. And that's what I was thinking would be beneficial for the very broad audience that we need to try.
Well, I understand that, absolutely. But I also believe that the audience needs to look at it from the elected officials' perspective as well, because perhaps they can solve some of the problems up front by having a class like this held for them. And she's going to go through and tell us some of the things that they teach. And I figured we talk about way to grow in our segment, and the politicians often need the opportunity to realize some growth themselves. And I've known of some that have attended those particular sessions that this law firm has led, and they had some actual epiphanies about how they need to deal with contracts and the procurement process, and not just for us, but for other sections in the entity where those questions may come up quite often as well.
So I appreciate that. And we have 5 more minutes to discuss, and then we're gonna have to nail these topics. Okay.
Well, that's mine, Barb.
That's interesting, John, and then Mike.
2 points on that little exchange, both comments from Jack and Keith. It occurs to me that there's kind of a couple different levels. There's what we would want our staff to know. If you come in as a procurement professional in the organization, here's let's talk about politics and what your role is in this. And then there's maybe another advanced level for if you're a CPO and you want to start working, adjusting your political environment around you. That's, Keith, where it comes in like, hey, I'm going to be proactive, like you said, and get those elected officials some training on ethics and the law and what else, because that's my way of dealing with the political. I don't want to just let things happen to me. I want to try and head off problems at the pass. So I think there's a couple different levels. And probably for this show, I think we'd mostly want to focus on standard procurement professionals, not the people who are in the higher levels and can manipulate stuff, or at least save that for later. The other thing that occurred to me is it's kind of like, we're not political experts here. We're not going to be like that law firm and go out and deliver political training. But it occurs to me, it's kind of like when we learn negotiating skills within procurement. Well, we're not negotiating experts either, but there's things that we can say on RadioNIGP to ordinary procurement professionals about here's what to do with negotiating. So I think it's maybe the same thing about politics. What can we say about what we think you as a new staff person should know? How do you frame this up in your mind? That's why I was trying to put that in the chat. How do you break it out into chunks? That's it.
That's terrific. Mr. Beavis, who looks very ethereal.
Yeah, that's because I'm in the stupid office and the lighting's horrible. There's nothing I can do about it. Sorry about that. It makes more sense to turn it off than to do this, but who knows? So we've jumped between politics as political thing, ethics as ethical concerns, and the undue influence that might or might not be exerted, and about office relationships as, like the office politics stuff that Victor just put online. So I think that it makes sense to separate those and talk about them differently. And I think it's also important because I'm not sure that as I've heard who our target audience may be, especially with what John said, that it's not the senior person who's now going to jump around and try to influence policy, but it's the frontline person. I think there's a need to have a conversation around the role of the elected officials as a corporate body as setting policy, and our role to implement that policy, whatever it happens to be, because that's the only time we have a customer who's always right, is when they're acting as a corporate body and enacting legislation, right? I think it's important that we help people understand the difference between a city councilman or something showing up at your door and asking something, and a piece of legislation that says this is a preference we're going to give, or this is a preference we're not going to give anymore, or whatever that might be.
Very good. Thank you. And John is nodding feverishly, and Rebecca gave you applause. Don, comments? Because I know, Don, you've already taken some initiative with Hot Topics recording.
Well, just basically trying to find out if this is a topical area that we wanted to broach. And the more we talk on this, I'm struggling to figure out what we can offer different than what the other sections will be offering. For example, legal. Is Legally Speaking going to have a session this time, and how are they going to frame that around this topic? I know
we don't know.
Well said.
My thinking, as I was sitting here writing, it's, we as intro purchasing people, or we as directors, part of our responsibilities are to educate ourselves on the rules and policies and the impact of perception. And then when one of those directors comes in, director, mayor, whatever, then we also need to be thinking about how do we make sure that they are educated on the law, the rules, the policies, the procedures, the perceptions. And I heard somebody say something about, the knowing the rules of the office. So really we need to know and be able to explain to people both the written rules, but also those unwritten rules that dictate how people interact with each other, and who are the people that have the power that you didn't realize they have the power. That goes back to those relationship things. Some people are married and you don't know about it. Some people just have the ear of the president or the ear of general counsel or whoever is, and us educating our staffs on those things. And like I think somebody said, us making sure our staffs understand that we may behind closed doors talk about the troubles we have with this person or this department or that department, but that can't go outside the office because you never know who's listening. So anyway, like I said, I'm struggling to figure out how Hot Topics can frame this.
Let's do this. I'm going to suggest for both marketing and info level that we dedicate September's broadcast to the procurement staff level. And then we say in September that we're going to perhaps look at it in September will be forest, and September will be trees and October will be forest. So the wider picture of, whether it's elected officials, citizen groups, I forget what you called those, Jax, were they community based organizations?
Stakeholder organizations. Yep. Advocacy, community-based organizations, stakeholder organizations.
And so I think if we do it as 1-2, and Tara, I thought Hot Topics did an awesome job In the other session, I do recall it, but I also think that it doesn't hurt to repeat the same subject. Because I think it was maybe a year ago. Even so, our viewers are, many are coming in now because we always get a boost after forum and so forth. So in 36 minutes, just let's look at what's possible. And Victor, if you're available, I would imagine that if you and Jack and Dan could get together, you could do the intro and include the concepts of what we're looking at. So the intro is not just an invitation, it's a definition.